So this one is called Women Peak at 12. Who in their right mind would prefer a 22...
No. Oh! There's a WAPO editorial board that wrote an entire article about how if attitudes don't shift, the political dating mismatch will threaten marriage. Okay, here it is. Ideological polarization is now. You know what? Let's listen to it. Oh, I can't listen to it. I don't have an account. Ideological polarization is now a mainstay of American politics. Millions of young Americans will go home to Thanksgiving and find themselves in uncomfortable situations with relatives, especially uncles, apparently, who love former President Donald Trump, hate vaccination, think January 6th, blah, 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 blah. The problem with polarization, though, is that it has effects well beyond the political realm, and these can be difficult to anticipate. One example is the collapse of the American marriage. A growing number of young women are discovering that they can't find suitable male partners. As a whole, men are increasingly struggling with or suffering from higher unemployment, lower rates of educational attainment, more drug addiction, and deaths of despair, and generally less purpose or direction in their lives. But it's not just that. There's a growing ideological divide, too. Since Mr. Trump's election in 2016, the percentage of single women ages 18 to 30 who identify as liberal has shot up from slightly over 20% to 32%. Young men have not followed suit. If anything, they've grown more conservative. This ideology gap is particularly pronounced among Gen Z white people. According to a major New American Enterprise Institute survey, Kaya, come. Does this mean that women are more leftist than men or subsuming liberal and left? Yeah, it's always subsuming liberal and left. Can't really tell what it is. Okay. American Enterprise Institute survey, 46% of white Gen Z women are liberal compared to only 28% of white Gen Z men, more of whom, 36%, now identify as conservative. Norms around sexuality and gender are diverging too. Whereas 61% of Gen Z women see themselves as feminists, only 43% of Gen Z men do. It is little surprise that manfluencers, particularly such as Andrew Tate, who promote outright misogyny, have their biggest following among boys and young men. No wonder that the Hasanabi broadcast has lost its grip on the influence that it once held over a population of youngsters. Yeah, that's right. Okay. We're boomers 20 plus. Yeah, I'm still here, dude. The last white male here. I know. Anyway, in another era, political or ideological differences might have had less impact on marriage rates, but increasingly the political is personal. A 2021 survey of college students found that 71% of Democrats would not date someone with opposing views. There is some logic to this. Marriage across religious or political lines, if either partner considers those things to be central to their identity, can be associated with lower levels of life satisfaction. And politics is becoming more central to people's identity. This mismatch means that someone will need to compromise. The researchers Lyman Stone and Brad Wilcox have noted about 1 in 5 young singles will have little choice but to marry someone outside their ideological tribe. The other option is that they decline to get married at all. Not an ideal outcome considering the data showing that marriage is good for the health of societies and individuals alike. This, of course, is on average. Marriage isn't for everyone, nor is staying in a physically or emotionally abusive. Okay, we got it. The marriage dilemma reflects a broader societal one. Whether people can find ways to adapt to a new normal of ideological and political polarization instead of hoping, against all evidence, that it will dissipate. Unfortunately, Americans have not equipped themselves to discuss, debate, and reason across these divides. Americans have increasingly sorted themselves according to ideological orientation. Why is it that we always have to massage the needs of like American conservatives, oftentimes white men, because this study specifically is looking at white men and white women, while simultaneously looking at none of the other races, okay? And it's always like, yeah, American women have to suck it up. White women have to suck it up with white men and just fucking, date outside of their ideological boundaries. More ethnic men be more conservative in some ways, e.g. Muslims. One ethnic men be more conservative in some ways, e.g. Muslims. Muslims in America are literally more progressive, both on social issues and are reliable Democratic Party voters in general. That's such a weird fucking take, man. You said ethnic men. Like, what? They expect people to share their own convictions and commitments, but people's insight and understanding about the world often come from considering alternative perspectives that may at first seem odd or offensive. Gen Z is still relatively young, and the Trump-era divisions between single men and women might yet reverse themselves, but there's a good chance they won't, particularly if Mr. Trump manages to inject the body politique with his distinct brand of existential dread during or after the 2024 elections. It is worth thinking both ahead and beyond Mr. Trump. A cultural shift might be necessary, one that views politics as a part of people's identity, but far from the most important part. Americans' ability to live together, quite literally, might depend on it. What do you mean politics is not that important? I mean, yeah, I say all the time that you shouldn't cast aside people that have different political perspectives than you, and you should try to have conversations with them regularly. But this notion that, like, oh, it's simply politics, like if you're a conservative, let's say you think that abortion, let's say you want to vote for a Republican candidate that has played a role in undermining your bodily autonomy, okay? Why is this just something that you need to cast aside and just suck it up? If you are someone who views black and brown people as real human beings, for example, and your partner is fucking racist, like why is that supposed to be seen as like a thing that you need to overcome? And the expectation isn't here to get men to chill out, it feels like, and no longer see the world through the red-pilled manosphere lens, but instead, I don't know, maybe I'm not reading it correctly, but I do get the feeling that this almost feels like they're telling women to suck it up, like the liberals to suck it up, basically. Am I wrong? Maybe they're just saying that men need to also suck it up and no longer feel as though politics is important. But I don't think it's the men that is causing this division, especially because the conservative politics of men is sometimes at odds with, you know, civil liberties of the other party. No, it's just highlighting the differences. Even if it's just highlighting the differences, first of all, it's hilarious that they're fucking promoting the American Enterprise Institute study at the foundation of this. This is the Washington Post editorial board. It's supposed to be a liberal institution, by the way. Yeah. Daily Kos. The Washington Post is very worried that American women don't want to marry Trump supporters. Presumably, the Post editorial board is a good reason for alerting us to this phenomena. But what it doesn't bother to do is tell us why it is occurring. And if what the editorial pretends is true, Americans will be well served by knowing why. Had the Post bothered to provide some basic context, explaining that young American women in particular are loath to date right-wing, presumably Republican men, because they find some specific views, attitudes, and values they represent to be abhorrent, the editorial might live up to the serious social ramifications it implicates. It's easy enough to point at Donald Trump as a catalyst for such drastic social upheaval, but by failing to address the actual belief and value systems his presence has stoked among Republican men, and instead just throwing up their hands and asserting that such attitudes must change and someone will need to compromise, the Post ends up simply doing a disservice to his readers because, quite honestly, an issue this profound affecting the country's future deserves more than the shrinking, hesitant treatment the Post chooses to afford to it. At least the Post editorial does a decent job explaining the underlying issue, as the editor notes. Yeah, they talk about the problem with polarization. But isn't anyone else getting tired of hearing excuses that why men in particular are increasingly struggling? Higher unemployment? Really? It's 3.9%. Lower rates of educational attainment? Nope. Those rates are higher than ever for both men and women. Perhaps if the Post had acknowledged the reality of stagnant wage growth, out-of-control housing, and healthcare costs, which affect women just as much, if not more, as men, that might have proved a more enlightening exercise. As for the psychological traumas fueling drastically more drug addiction and deaths of despair among men, but apparently not as much among women, it might also have been helpful to ask whether it isn't more of a case of the male ego and a wounded sense of their assumed primacy in our society that's actually the root of these problems, which aren't occurring to the same degree in other countries. I mean, I think that part of that is also, no, I think there's problems with like educational attainment for men in comparison to women. And I think part of that problem relies on the fact that our entire economy revolves around the service sector and fucking blue collar, white collar jobs, as opposed to what it once had, which were not just white collar jobs, but blue collar jobs and more opportunities in the trades. Like that is where that unemployment number comes from, or that is where the like men's feelings being hurt come from. Problem is, we fucking, we exported all that, so we don't have that anymore. So, oops, sorry. It's a shell of what it once used to be. But I digress. The Post editors do acknowledge that the political polarization seems to be a driving factor in explaining this collapse in presumably heterosexual marriages. According to a major new American Enterprise Institute survey, which, by the way, American Enterprise, that's crazy. Blame capitalism, boys don't vote for more right-wing guys. What? Are lesbians destroying the institution of marriage by not marrying conservative men? I mean, this is like a very long way of basically repeating what Jordan Peterson says all the time, which is that, you know, sexual liberation and feminism and birth control and more meaningful ways that women can retain bodily autonomy and not simply assume the position of a baby incubator has been devastating on a patriarchal societal structure that everyone everyone grew into and was used to. And now we can't cope with that reality, so we must return. We must return. And it's an inherently fascist, inherently reactionary ideal that secretly and maybe not so subtly sometimes openly advocates to make women servile again. You know, it's very odd. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, seems like a skill issue. Seems like men need to cope with the changing times, right? Because I do think that there's a problem here. But I don't think the problem is like, well, women's liberty have made dating more competitive, and therefore men have to take care of themselves more than they used to in the past. Okay, but ultimately, the solution doesn't revolve around relegating women back into the kitchen, like pushing women back into the kitchen and ensuring traditional gender norms, traditional gender standards. Or maybe it's because women have total control of the dating scene and can much more easily move on from breakups. They can just ruin your life and be someone with new the next day. Dude, this is so painfully personal. I'm sorry that happened to you, okay? What you just described as the standard is just simply an experience that you had that you are trying to universalize. And I'm certain that there's other men in this chat as well who feel this way. But goddamn, dude. No, that like this is like, or maybe because women sometimes tell you that they love you, and then all of a sudden they decide to break up with you out of nowhere, and then before you know it, lo and behold, they found a different partner, and then they've deleted your phone number and actually blocked you, so you can't even reach out to them, and now I can't even get my favorite hoodie back. I mean, that's a thing that could happen as a common experience. Or maybe because Brenda has total control of the dating scene and can much more easily move on with Brandon after a breakup. They can just ruin your life and be on with someone else tomorrow. I'm going to not laugh. Okay, listen. I'm sorry that this happened to you, but this is not a universal value. This is not a universal principle. And if I knew more about the dynamics, more about the dynamic of the situation that you experience, maybe I could offer you more, personal help in this regard. However, one thing that I can immediately tell you without knowing anything else is that the assumption that this is a universal experience for women and all women is not coming from a place of any kind of like empirical evidence or rational thinking, critical thinking, but instead emotional thinking. And that's not what men do, you know what I mean? Men don't do that, right? Oh, we're not emotional. We're rational beings. So if you want to rationalize it, you must remember that this is simply an individual that wronged you in some ways, and you should assess what you might have done wrong and what they might have done wrong, and then move on with your life, get closure from within, and then never carry that baggage with you onto the next relationship. This way you will not be seen as a scorned partner that will carry that baggage onto the next relationship and then make it impossible for that relationship to also work. Clearly, what we must do is get rid of the no-fault divorce. Also off topic, pretty privilege is even worse on women. One thing that people always, throw in my face, especially as it pertains to pretty privilege, is that like nobody is discounting, given your circumstances, your situation might be harder than others. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. It's just the truth. You know what I mean? What's that fucking 100 Thieves kid? What's his name? The pretty boy. He's 100 Thieves. He's like a TikTok guy. Vinny Hacker. He's hot as okay? He's so hot. No, not Will, you idiots. No, Vinny Hacker. He's hot as do you see me running around being upset all the goddamn time that he looks insanely good? You know? Yeah, there's just people that are always going to have things way easier than you. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. That's how it works. You can't be fucking sad about it. I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. You can just sit around and get upset that you don't look like that, or you can do something about it, become the best version of yourself, and then also date within your field. Inside the hateful and lonely world of incel men, oh my God.
We've been investigating the hidden online world of incels.
I have not interacted with a female that is not related to me in over 3 years.
They're mostly young men, usually virgins, who can't find a romantic or...
I'm sorry. Oh God, it's going to be so hard for me to be serious right now. Someone out there thinks you have pretty privileged chatter. Yeah, I mean, the point is there's always going to be somebody that's like way hotter than you or smarter than you or someone who's funnier than you, someone who's better than you at whatever you want to be good at. You can't constantly fucking sit there and be angry and resentful about it. You need to just recognize your limitations, recognize your skills, recognize what you have, recognize your self-worth, improve yourself, and move on with your life. And set your expectations to a reasonable standard. I think a lot of people don't do that. I've made jokes about this all the time. Like, you know how people always, rad libs will be like, oh my God, you're being fat phobic. Like, how dare you, about like a Jubilee video. And then you look at their profile picture and it's like, it's Harry Styles. It's like, well, I don't see you trying to fuck the fat dude at the office. You're standing over Harry Styles. Why are you standing over Harry Styles then? Like, obviously everyone has some expectations and standards that they find to be attractive. The idea that like there's no universal attraction. Okay. That's number one. Number two, of course, everybody finds, different things to be attractive and they pursue that. The reality of the situation is like many of these dudes have like a incredibly hostile perspective towards women. And that resentment grows in our atomized, in our hyper-atomized society, where you are not like forced into social situations where you're around women. So you're just like online and you find different groups that will also hype you up. You have these echo chambers where they tell you like, no, King, you're right. All these women are fucking whores. You know, they're all bitches. They all hurt you. Remember how hard they hurt you.
Sexual partner.
I must become more attractive. It's my last chance.
But on the extreme end, some incels are becoming more menacing.
There was quite a few women that I did want to break their nose so they would be ugly.
Where staunch incels blame women and attractive men for the reason why they're not in a relationship.
Around 60 terror attacks that can be linked to incel actors.
We wanted to know who these incels were, what they believed in, and just how extreme it could get. In this two-part investigation, we gain access to a world that is usually closed off, especially to women.
It's wild that it's like the solution is just getting some pussy, dog. Like, what the fuck? Get your money up, not your funny up, or maybe your funny up too.
Before we start this story, we want to let you know that it contains violent and distressing content, including references to sexual violence and racist slurs. We're on our way to meet five incels we've been chatting to online.
Incel terror. There are terror tunnels.
For about a month now.
And Discord.
We usually chat to each other in forums and in servers, but today they're meeting up. And they're letting us join. One of them, who we'll call Tom, is well known in the community.
You know his ass brought his own V for Vendetta mask too. Like, he was like, yeah, I fucking like V for Vendetta. Don't worry, I got my own mask, yeah. I love 4chan pole. I'm on 4chan pole all day. And I fucking like, no, I'm not allowed to bring my fedora. I'm just like Guy Fawkes. But instead of the Congressional Parliament building, I'm going to blow up the pussy.
Community for building a server, which is kind of like an online chat room. He's agreed to meet us first at a hotel.
There is most likely not a single female on the planet that would be willing to date me.
How do you define what an incel is?
An incel is someone who is unable to get into a romantic relationship.
He's nervous to be on camera, and has brought a mask with him to protect his identity.
Being an
I told you, it's his own mask, bro. Incel Jihad is the final boss of the idea of Goon
incel has
Squad.
become quite sensationalist.
Burn that mask on the way out, homie. First step. First step towards getting some pussy, okay? Burn that mask. Leave every fucking Discord you're in right now. There's no shot that you're in a good one, okay? No shot.
I am worried that openly identifying
Remember the No Nut November? But actually, I'm doing semen retention. I'm doing No Nut November, but the entire year. Thinking about it like that.
as such in public might affect job prospects.
What do you think when you see a woman on the street?
I don't feel like I live in the same society as her. And I think that every woman who encounters me on the street is inherently disgusted by me. I'm physically unattractive, I'm visibly autistic, and I have no experience speaking to females.
Tom casually browsed forums a few years ago in high school. Now he feels so connected to the incel philosophy that he built.
Is that a Chad Hitler? I told you, man. Stay out of Discord, dog. Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you? Stay the fuck out of Discord, man. I fucking called it. I knew it. You know these guys are stalking. You know these guys are stalking every fucking female content creator, okay?
His own chat room.
Sometimes incels can say some edgy statements.
Can you give examples?
An edgy statement would be something like, I hate all women, all women, every woman is evil. Sometimes a small minority of users, when they're lashing out in anger, might make jokes about sexual violence. I wouldn't paint the server as something too serious. A lot of this is just people just having like fun social interaction, fun banter.
In the 20 minutes we spent looking at the chat, we saw Nazi symbols, racial slurs, and unsurprisingly, hate towards women.
This is an example of an incel and a female beefing with each other. Mm-hmm. The female said, "Y'all are boring," and this incel responded in anger.
You want to read the message?
No. This server has been taken down around 10 times, but those takedowns have not really had a dent on its popularity.
It's hard to know how many incels exist, especially when they connect in private servers like this one. On the most popular forum, there are millions of visits each year. By some estimates, at the very least, there are thousands of dedicated members worldwide.
I do blame women to a significant extent for why we have so many men single, depressed, lonely. There may be definitely elements of misogyny in the community. It's only reactive to being unable to get with females. It would probably dissipate if a female showed interest in them.
You know his ass is in his Discord right now going, I knew it. That Hasanabi's watching, but it's actually his chair. Dark Viper was right. I fucking love that guy. He's my favorite. He left the fucking chair. He left the chair. We got him, boys. If I was an incel, I'd be cool incel with a fridge stocked with drinks. I mean, you're just describing me.
What board are you browsing?
G.
We later catch up with the rest of the group in the park.
Hello? Good. Hello, female.
I think so many people perished as they kept coming back. Like all the haters that kept coming back, thinking that they could catch a moment where I'm like away from the fucking chair. And like they would just come in, stay around for like a couple hours, realize that it doesn't happen, and they would just like leave and be like, fuck, we couldn't get them. All the chair react memes are from like 2019.
They're in their late teens and early 20s. Most of them haven't given us their real names. After a month of speaking online, they've agreed to meet with us in person to explain a bit more about who they are. They agree to chat over lunch on the condition that their faces are blurred.
Is anyone here dating?
No.
No. Definitely no.
If you're dating, then you're not an incel. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
It's that hard line?
If you can date, chances are you can have sex.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make you an incel.
Like if you're talking about going on dates, I think you can go on dates and be incel.
I'm more hardline in my definition.
Some allude to a common incel belief. They call it the black pill. It's the idea that women will only ever go for physically attractive men, that they've lost the genetic lottery, and their situation is hopeless.
Do your parents know that you're an incel?
No. My dad's like asked me when am I going to get a girlfriend or whatever. I feel like my mum knows I'm a loser.
Are you all at uni at the moment?
No, I'm working.
No, I'm at uni.
I'm studying, kind of, yeah.
It's mostly just STEM
Kind of?
subjects.
Yeah, no incels doing like social work or something.
And why do you think it's those kind of jobs?
You don't have to talk to people, you can just focus on ideas and stuff.
You know, I said I haven't spoken to an IRL void in 3 years. And that's partially because I do a STEM degree. Like, I've never been...
Bro, he just dropped the void. Okay, listen. Dude, that's it. You did it. You described exactly why you'll never get pussy, okay? It's like, take a shower, figure out how to groom yourself. Never, ever use that fucking term ever again. Like, we moved on from femoid to foid. Like, they shortened it, dude. It used to be females, then it was femoids, and now it's foid. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm in the Discord thinking about new ideas, like what's new slur to call black people, right? What new slur to call women? Foid. New ideas like coming up with foid. Every man can be a 7. Every man. Unconditionally can be a 7. And 7 is good enough. Okay? Every man. I stand by that. All day, every day.
Being paired with a female. Thank If I did, I'd probably just walk out.
I wanted to know what direction the incel movement was headed in. So I sat down with a researcher who spent 18 months looking at the largest incel forum on the internet.
We gathered over 1 million posts from just over a year of activity on the forum.
He found the number of visits were growing slowly and posts were getting more extreme. We asked him to read some out.
So this one is called Women Peak at 12. Who in their right mind would prefer a 22...
No. Oh.
2-year-old roasty to this, and they've got an image of a 12-year-old child. National Socialist Germany was the best country for incels. Women are designed...
This is okay. This part is like also another very funny way of cope. Like, okay, throughout the severity of all this, like, this is all tragic, this is all disgusting, it's gross, but it's also the funniest cope. It's like, no, dog, you don't get to fucking have like top shelf Aryan pussy or whatever you think is going on. If you believe in the Pareto principle, it still operates in the same way. Now it's the Aryan Chad that's getting all the fucking ladies, okay? And you're still getting cucked in that process. Dumbass. It's so dumb. Like, it's always so funny, these guys who are like, I'm visibly autistic. And they're like, but in Aryan nation, Aryan Germany, they wouldn't immediately throw me in a concentration camp. Mind void. Ah! Oh, Jesus Christ.
Germany was the best country for incels. Women are designed to be raped. Males have a sufficient strength advantage, and this was probably our main method of procreating.
Wait, was this guy banned from the black pill community? Like he was too aggressive for black pill?
It's all designed to make women seem like they're subhuman.
In the most popular forum, about half of its members are Americans and Brits, but there are also Australians in there too. The group we've spoken to have never expressed any of these thoughts to us. Callum says that people who end up in these spaces tend to be unemployed, have mental health vulnerabilities, and are insecure about their looks.
Many users claim to be neurodivergent. Unfortunately, the answers they're getting are that women are to blame for all this, and it just sort of breeds this toxic, violent rage towards women that's really dangerous.
But not all incels hate women and subscribe to the extreme end of things. Some go to great lengths to attract them.
I am making some gains.
For Raymond, he's hoping the gym is the answer. In YouTube videos, he talks about his journey to self-improvement, and so far he's had 500,000 views.
Hey guys, what's up? Decline here. I am 30 and still alone.
We're about an hour out of Melbourne and meet Raymond as he heads to the gym.
I go to the gym 6 days a week.
Bro, take those fucking anime posters off the walls, homie. You're 30, dog. And before motherfuckers say that shit to me and like go look behind you or whatever, this is my goddamn studio, okay? Also, I'm him. Don't fucking start with me. Don't say says you. Come on, bro. My bedroom don't have any of that shit. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Want to build a good amount of muscle and get lean and shredded. It seems that a lot of people have been successful with that. I still haven't had a successful one-on-one encounter with a girl.
I mean, he's got like decent pectoral definition, like decent vascularity. Like it's clear that the gym is at least working for him. But I think the major problem here isn't that he's like physically attractive. It's that he doesn't have the confidence.
Why do you think you've not had much success with women?
Firstly, I'm a very small guy. Like 6 foot guys are a lot more successful. I don't know how to talk to women or anyone.
Up until now, most of the incels that we'd spoken to were virgins. But that's not the case with Raymond.
It has been some time since I had any sexual encounter that was not paid. I met some couples for threesomes, MMF threesomes, and I found them not really fulfilling.
Bro, this dude is piping, dude. He's doing swinger shit. Okay, listen, dog. You literally jumped. You need to be competing in the varsity league. You went into like Olympic level fucking. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening there? You skipped so many steps. Like you're operating at a much, like, you should be starting off at a much different level. What the fuck? Yeah, man tried meth before caffeine. Like, what? He went from 0 to literally MMF threesomes? Like, what the fuck? Bro needs a fucking little life vest when he's in the water, and then he just jumps into the fucking Niagara Falls without anything on him. Are you crazy?
Everybody has those same desires to want to feel desired and wanted and loved. I don't subscribe to a lot of the common views of, say, black pill incels. Like, not everything is determined by your genes. These groups, I feel, have kind of hijacked the term.
Raymond is hoping to...
Please explain MMF. It's a male, female threesome. So 2 guys, devil's triangle, Eiffel Tower. Okay? A shish kebab, if you will. That's what he did.
Changed his luck with women by his mid-30s.
If I haven't succeeded, I'll
So was it male foid?
probably start focusing on other things, maybe just enjoying my life and just rotting, as they say. I'll go back to my video games, start watching anime again, and maybe get a job.
Tom says he's no longer involved in running the server, but he's still given up on the idea of ever being in a relationship.
I'm rather content now. It's just sort of like a huge like gaping hole in your life and fitting into society, I guess. Having bleak views affects my mental health and many other incels' mental health by making us like much less caring about our future prospects. The community is really the only reason why I stay, and as the situation for young men continues to get...
I'm sorry, were you trying to say that you aren't an incel? Man, the thing is, like, I never understand this shit. Like, I watch anime, I do all this shit, okay? I have a Discord server. Some people just simply can't handle it, I guess. You know what I mean? Just fucking don't do it then. Don't do it. If I felt like the circles that I was in online were making me mentally unstable, then I would, you know, as hard as it is, I would try to recognize it and try to escape it. Escape that troublesome cycle. Cut the crap, bro. You're 6'3" and hot. First of all, I'm 6'4", golden girl. Okay. Secondly, I wasn't always attractive. And also, I'm not everyone's cup of tea regardless. even currently. And my point is, that's just copium. There are always going to be better looking people, okay? There are always going to be better looking people. People think I fucking came out the womb looking the way I do. It's just so dumb. It's so stupid. When I say every man can be a 7, I mean it. I'm one of those men. I'm one of those men. Lots of people want to look for a reason to give up, die. When hear some of these folks talk, at least the hikikomori in Japan keep it to themselves in their rooms, using social to spread their ideology everywhere. Yeah, I just like, one of Hasan's older photos. I mean, yeah, here, look at this. Look. This topic pisses me off because most people who say shit like this lack any personality or willing to put any effort. That's what I mean. Like, it's such a weird situation. It's such a weird situation. Dude, this is so funny. This is congratulations on the jawline from 2019. That's how you know I was pro-Palestine from the jump. Look at this. Look at this. Look at my reply. Half of these reply guys probably are gone. You know what I mean? I just think that I think it's like kind of frustrating. Like, I get it. When I was in this circumstance, when I was in this predicament, I was very upset. You know what I mean? I was sad. I was angry. I wanted to be skinny. I wanted to be in shape. I wanted to be athletic. I wanted to be able to appeal to women, and I was not. And it took years and years and years, but I mean, I saw relative success in that field, and it's just like, I don't know, people, it's just copium to assume like, oh, dude, you don't get it, you don't understand, you won't get it, you don't get it, you were always attractive, like, no, you're wrong. Literally, a man that showers regularly and maintains some aspect of personal grooming is good enough for most of us women. Like, kind men who show care for themselves and others, the bar for most of us. I know. The thing is, people don't understand it, but the bar is literally in fucking hell, dude. Women will literally go as low as physically possible, okay? You don't understand. Especially because the competition is terrible, fellas. It's bad. The bar is at the core of the earth. Now, you can look at that and go, man, the bar is so low and I still can't clear it. What the fuck? And just like angrily shift the blame over to anyone else and anything else. But you absolutely have the power. You have the capacity. You just have to start believing in yourself and change your habits. Fix your lifestyle. Many people in this community have.
Get worse. It is inevitable that
This is so untrue. Just showering every day doesn't make you likable. That's not what I said. Just don't be like a smelly loser with a horrible personality, and automatically you are gonna become a more likable individual. Why Hasan acting like he's not our competition? That's a lot to ask of Twitch chatters. I'm just saying, like, your fans are your biggest ops in your own Discord. Oh my god, dude, it's true. I'm paraplegic. I can't even use my dick to fuck, but I still have a girlfriend for the last 2 years. Nothing should hold you back from finding love. Exactly. The problem is, nothing I said means that you will find this tomorrow on your own. Okay? You're not gonna like magically fucking start taking showers and then it's gonna happen for you. One of the major problems here is that a lot of dudes get in their own way. They create stopgap measures for themselves. They create unnecessary hurdles for themselves. Their expectation is that this will happen overnight. It's not. Even building confidence, even something as simple as building confidence, when you say it like that, sounds simple. It takes a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. I've struggled with my weight my whole life. Okay? My entire family's obese. Many of my immediate family members got gastric bypasses, varying degrees of different surgeries to deal with it. I have a lot of negative qualities that I don't like. I would be inoperable with my ADHD if I didn't know how to manage it with a regimen, with a rigid structure that I have in my life. A lot of you probably look at that and you go, oh, that's, he wakes up every day, works out. Many people take it for granted. Maybe you think it's perfectly normal, right? And you look at my situation and you think like, oh, well, he's figured it out. It took a long time. It took a lot. It took a lot of hardships. I figured out what my weaknesses were. I figured out what my strengths were. And I worked on my weaknesses. That's it.